I am Stan Goldstein with Kates-Boylston Publications. As part of our KB on the Road live series, we're glad to be joined today by a gentleman who I recently had a chance to interview for an article I was working on, and also got to meet in person at a conference in Philadelphia. John Heald, the GM of the funeral channel for Legacy.com. John, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Stan. Thanks for having me here, and it was great to meet you in Philadelphia just a few weeks back.
Yes. So tell me, what is the truth about Legacy?
Yeah, it's kind of a loaded question, but I think it's a poignant one in terms of who Legacy is as a company, what we do, not only for our newspaper partners, but also for our funeral home partners and really consumers in general who are trying to find obituary and funeral-related information. So the truth is, Legacy's a top 50 website in the United States. It gets 44 million monthly unique visitors to their site, which makes it a powerhouse in terms of trying to help consumers find obits and information about funeral homes. So the truth is, we are a strong software infrastructure for newspaper partners, so that if you go to most of your local newspapers' online obituary sections, it will be powered by Legacy. And we also work significantly with funeral homes across the country, from consolidators to large independents to small mom and pop funeral homes. And what we're really trying to do there is just make sure we maximize the distribution of their obituary, their funeral home brand, which I think in turn, drives more opportunities for them as a business. So I kind of describe Legacy as just the behemoth that is, but it's a really good channel in which to make sure your funeral home is present and that you take advantage of.
And how does Legacy support funeral service?
We do it in a number of ways. I think one of the things I'm probably most proud of is our involvement in Fund 45, but also my role on the Funeral Service Foundation Board for about a year now. And we have been supporting the Funeral Service Foundation for 5 years. And there's an initiative that's called Fund 45, and it typically comes out around NFDA. And Legacy matches dollar for dollar up to $22,500 every single year for donations made to Fund 45, which in turn supports Funeral Service Foundation. So, and we have been doing that 5 years, and we've hit the number every single year, and we continue to do that, or will continue to do that as long as we can. And so I think that's the financial side of it. But the second more meaningful part, for me, at least being a funeral director, is we're just trying to help funeral homes maximize their reach. And we do that because of what the size of Legacy is, the traffic that we garner. And I think the types of users that we have coming to our site every day, they're browsers and mourners. They're looking for obits and funeral homes. So we have the ability to get your funeral home up front, then show you behind the curtains in terms of what that means from a traffic perspective and analytics, let you participate in revenue share for flower sales, give you good insights that gives you I think a good snapshot of what's happening out there in the ecosystem for obituaries, traffic on the Legacy world, while you're getting that same information as it relates to your individual funeral home website.
And speaking of obituaries, what is the purpose of an obituary?
I think at its core, it's to announce the death of a loved one, someone that you have known and loved is no longer here and has passed away. The manner in which it's been done has historically been a couple of things. One, word of mouth, I think first and foremost, whether it's phone calls and so forth, but largely in part it's been an announcement in the newspaper. And I think you and I talked, Stan, that it used to be a very long, well-written autobiographical type of story that for a variety of reasons have changed to some formats of death notice, but the announcements in the paper were the mainstay, to publications on the funeral home website, to Facebook, to Twitter, and now there's even talks of even TikTok. So the purpose of the obituary is to let others know that someone you loved has passed away.
Okay. And speaking of yourself, what's someone no one knows about you?
Well, I think for those that first, maybe they don't know that I'm an identical twin, but then that they also know that I didn't actually start out in funeral service. I I went to a business school, and then thought that that was my calling for the rest of my year. And I found out, 10 years in, it was not. That actually funeral service was my calling because of my twin brother and some of the history that we have in our family. But historically, it's a family generational business, and that wasn't what my brother and I were. So that while I'm technically a fourth generation funeral director, I like to consider Jim and I first generation. So, I tie it back to funeral service in terms of, what people don't know about me or how I got my start.
Mhm. And you've been around a bit, as you're just saying. So if you had to offer a new funeral director one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't ever get complacent,
Hmm.
and don't ever take anything for granted in terms of, I'll have conversations with a lot of funeral homes where there may be one funeral home in town or two, and kind of, I don't need to do anything. I can set it and forget it, because there are more and more companies looking at this space, trying to find innovative ways to disrupt, quite honestly, the traditional funeral business. And that's not necessarily the cremation society or the direct disposition companies. It's technology and the ability to, I always get a kick out of outsiders that come into the business and that they want to get a piece of the $27 billion funeral industry. So that it's always being looked at, and anyone who gets into this space just can't ever get complacent, but always learning, educating, innovating.
Right, right. And I just want to say you and your brother Jim are two of the best obituary writers out there. So,
Well, I will say without even hesitation, my brother is the best obituary writer out there. I don't, if I ever had to, I'd be accused of plagiarizing because I'd look at the obits that he wrote and I'd have to try and make it my own. But no, he's wonderful at what he does, and I think it's a model for funeral homes and funeral directors to really take advantage of what the obituary is, and not just kind of repeat and repeat from the same death notice or obit from a previous family, and really making it something that when the family reads it, they're going to go, wow, they really captured my story. Or in fact, just let the family do it if they want to do that, but give them some guidance. It's such, the obituary is the best marketing tool a funeral home has.
and how may someone get in contact with you or Legacy if they'd like to?
Yeah, I'm simple. I'm jheald, Heald at legacy.com, and cell phone 617-913-6122. I'm in funeral service, so it rings anytime, all the time. I will not hesitate to get back to anyone. So those are the two best ways to get a hold of me.
Right. And I can attest you do get back. I reached out to you for the article and you got right back in contact with me. So yes. John, thanks. Thanks very much for joining us. And
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan.
okay. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.